All right, geometry, here's part 2 of 5.1. Yeah. So, we talked about parallel, skew, perpendicular lines and how they work in terms of those different three-dimensional geometric shapes that you guys saw. Corresponding alternate interior, alternate exterior, and consecutive interior angles are ways in which we oftentimes will describe pairs of angles that exist in this type of situation. It's usually three lines intersecting. Almost always they're considered parallel, right? But it doesn't have to be parallel. And it's cut, and it's cut by something called a transversal, which is just a line that cuts through two lines. It kind of looks like one of these not equal to symbols, okay? So what I'm going to do is run you guys through what it means to be corresponding, what it means to be alternate interior, etc., etc. So, what are corresponding angles? What they are is they're pairs of angles that kind of occupy the same spots in little pods. So you can look at this as a pod of 4 angles down here and a pod of 4 angles up here. And if you look at it, it's like, if we're just looking at the first pod, you've kind of got your upper left, upper right, and lower left. And all that means to be corresponding is upper left in this pod corresponds with upper left in this pod. So angle 3 and angle 7 are corresponding angles. There's one pair of corresponding angles. The second pair would be upper right would correspond with upper right. Okay? Sorry, you can't see that. So angle 4 corresponds with angle 8. Lower right will correspond with lower right. So angle 6 corresponds with angle 10. Lower left, sorry, I think I said right. Lower left corresponds with lower left. And then lastly, the lower right angle in this pod corresponds with the lower right angle in this pod. So angle 5 and angle 9 are corresponding. So if we look at our series of statements here, do we have any corresponding angles? Well, number 9 right off the bat. 3 and 7, they're corresponding. So you know what? I'll put a little abbreviation. I'll put CORR. 4 and 10, no. 5 and 8, no. 8 and 6, no. 9 and 5, yes. Those would be corresponding. And then 5 and 7, no. Okay, so right off the bat, that gives us 2 of the answers up here. So these are corresponding angles. How about alternate interior angles? What are alternate interior angles? Well, again, they're pairs of angles. Works a little bit different than the corresponding pods. Think of it like this. These and these are the angles that are sandwiched inside of those 2 lines that appear to be parallel to one another. These are the interior angles. Now, 6 and 5 are not alternate interior. You got to think of it more in terms of diagonal. 5 and 7. Sorry. 5 and 7. Those would be considered interior angles that are alternate one another. So angle 5 and angle 7 are a pair of alternate interior angles. Angle 6 then and angle 8 would be a pair of alternate interior angles as well. There's only two pairs. So when we look up here, 6 and 8, right there, would be considered alternate interior angles. I'll use the abbreviation A, alternate, I, interior, A, angles. So these are AIA angles. Do 5 and 7 show up anywhere? Yes. 5 and 7. So those are also alternate interior angles. So we know what corresponding are. We know what alternate interior are. What about alternate exterior angles? So we'll change that I to an E. Now, if these, oh wow, what about these shadows here? These shadows weren't here before. Okay, inside of the parallel lines are the interior ones, so 6, 5, 7, and 8. Therefore, outside, 3, 4, 10, and 9, those are considered the exteriors. So think about alternate in the same way that you did with the previous set. 4 is an outside exterior angle, which is alternate to 10. So these would be considered a pair of alternate exterior angles. So then your other pair would be 3, corresponds with 9. Or not corresponds, sorry. Is an alternate exterior angle to 9. All right. Last term that has some significance to this chapter are the consecutive interior angles. So what are consecutive interior angles? Well, think about it like this. The angles that occur, got to get the shadows right, inside of these supposedly parallel lines, okay? The angles inside there, 6, 5, 7, and 8. Which ones are consecutive to one another? Well, they're thinking about consecutive in terms of this. So 5 and 8 are considered consecutive interior angles. And then 6 and 7, those would also be considered consecutive interior angles. Consecutive interior is also called same side interior. You might see that like on a test. Consecutive interior and same side interior, they basically mean the same thing. And 11 would fit that description. I'm going to call consecutive interior angles as CIA. Ooh, I like that. CIA angles, okay? So they're on the inside. They're right here, okay. All right. I don't know. I think that might be it for today. There are a few true or false that would be kind of fun to go through, but I think I'll just leave it at that. I'll post your homework on Google Classroom, so if you produce the notes, you instantly get 5 out of the 15 points for the assignment. So I don't know why you wouldn't. So please post the notes. All right, guys. I will catch you in the Zoom meeting, which is going to happen very soon.